Those of you who've been with Ryan know that sometimes Ryan can get very human. He gets in his feels because he's just got a huge heart. That being said, we've got a little thing going. George, what's the current odds on how long before Ryan cries during his presentation? It's like 3-1 by slide 5. 5-1. Okay, so by 5-1, we believe by slide 3 or 4, Ryan might break down emotionally. We're just giving him a hard time because he has a heart of gold. Poor Ryan. That's so mean to Ryan. I already got him. I'm sorry, Ryan. I love you. Guys, Ryan is incredible. I hope you guys pay attention to what he has to share because he teaches from story, about story, and you guys are in for a real treat. So those of you who stayed around, you're going to be glad you did. So welcome to the stage, Ryan Koral. You're going to have to be louder. There's not as many of you right now. Come on. Come on. Let's hear it for Ryan.
Throw your hands in the air. Throw your hat in the rain. Throw your hips and your heart into everything. Get lost in the crowd. Get down on the floor. Let's dance with everybody who came through that door.
Making bets, you guys. No, there's no screen behind me. Where is it at? Over there. All right, so this is 1984. There is an adorable little boy in the upper left-hand corner. Let me see if I can do my best. Does it kind of look like that? Yeah, that's me. I went to Clear Lake Elementary School, and then the third person over the far right, top row, third person over, that is Mrs. Weller. Does anybody know Mrs. Weller? By the end of this talk, hopefully you you know Mrs. Weller a little bit better. In first grade, I had literally the best teacher ever. Mrs. Weller had this thing on the board. If you finished your assignments, there were 6 squares on the side of the board. And in each of the squares, there was a little activity. When you finished your assignment, you could pick one of the activities, and there was a couple of activities, like you could play a board game with other kids that were done. One of the activities was you could write a book or like a short story. I loved drawing. I loved coloring. I loved making up stories. And so I would race through my work so that I could make a little story. Now, the other thing that, for better or worse, I've kind of always loved, this is embarrassing, I've always loved being the center of attention. I know, my family's like, yeah, duh. But for those of you who don't know me, yes, the truth is coming out. So I would ask Mrs. Weller if I could read my story in front of the class, and she always humored me. She always let me read my little story to the class. And it would take about, 45 seconds, because it was usually the stories were like 4 pages long. I remember, this is literally 42 years ago. I remember finishing one of the stories finishing reading one of the stories that I had written. And Mrs. Weller said, "Boys and girls." And I'm like, she says, "One day, Ryan is going to be a real storyteller. He's going to be a real author." And I'm sitting there like, okay, like, sign me up. This sounds amazing. The words that my first grade teacher spoke to me, I remember these words 42 years later. So in 2013, I had been running a video production storytelling business for almost a decade. And for whatever reason, Mrs. Weller came up in my head. And I put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, holy crap. The thing that Mrs. Weller said this is what I do for a living. And I just felt this like immense gratitude. I'm like, this is unbelievable that this lady spoke these words to me. I hung on to them. I maybe thought about it through the years, but when it came to my work, I just never put two and two together. So I went to Facebook. I looked up Mrs. Weller. I had to dig, and I finally did find her. I tried to add her as a friend, but I sent her a message, and it was just this long message of like, Mrs. Weller, I don't know if you remember me, but back in 1984, and I just said, thank you so much, because the words that you spoke, this is that moment, Chad. The words that you spoke to that little 6 and 7-year-old boy stuck. The work that you did was super meaningful, because today, this is the work that I have the honor to do of telling other people's stories in my work, and people pay me to do this. So it came true. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, I just gushed and gushed. And I waited for a reply, and I didn't get one. But I knew, Mrs. Weller, she had a mission. She knew what she was made to do. Her classroom was the mission. We were her audience, and I got to be one of those kids that what she said stuck. And so when I talk about storytelling, and when I talk about video, I love when people hire us because we get money, and my wife's happy, and my team likes doing the work. But I believe more than anything that every person here has a mission. Every person here has something that they care so deeply about. And when we get to do that as part of our work, it's like one of the greatest gifts in the world. And so if you can remember what you're made for and who you're here to serve, it becomes a lot easier to show up for those people. And so my hope is that by the end of our time together, as you've heard so many people talking about being human and showing up and just sharing the real you, my hope is that this is just going to be ingrained in you, and that you'll finally have the guts to say, you know what if I did show up? Just like Mrs. Weller showed up for Ryan and spoke, and she didn't see any fruit, right? I mean, she saw this first grade kid, maybe he learned how to, write in cursive or something like that, but little did she know what might actually happen with those words that she spoke. And who knows, the words, the way that you show up online, what impact you can have in somebody's life. As I've been working with corporations and really big brands for a bunch of years, and we work with a lot of small companies, but it is unbelievable what corporations do. That video that Mark shared yesterday, the Burger King video, do you guys remember that? Like, they're rebranding. They spent, I don't know this for a fact, but my guess is at least $1 million on that commercial. And the whole point was to make it feel relatable, like, we are the kings, or whatever the tagline was. Corporations spend so much money trying to be relatable, trying to sound human. I mean, they hire consultants to have them be coached. Like, how can I be relatable? I'm a CEO of a multi-million or multi-billion-dollar company. How can I, talk to the people that's going to be relatable? How can I show up like that? How do you go back on? Oh, yeah. Just calm down. Get there. We have, and I'm going to speak in generality here, but I think everybody here, compared to the big corporations, we are the underdogs, and we have an advantage that they don't have. They're spending millions and millions of dollars to try to look and sound like us. We already have this. It's time for us to start leveraging it. Can I share an embarrassing story and share an embarrassing film? So the start of my career, I started full-time in 2004, running my video company. It was just me. 6 months into doing the work, I fell into wedding filmmaking. I had a friend who was a wedding photographer, and so I started shooting these weddings and realizing, what a treasure for me to create these like beautiful pieces for these families, these legacy pieces, and we started doing fancy weddings and got to travel and meet famous people and be in the room with like literal like billionaires, and we had the job of telling these stories, and it was super fun, super rewarding. But then as my wife and I started having kids and I like wanted some of my weekends back, and I wanted to make a little bit more money, I realized that I should probably do something different than weddings. And so in 2012, we launched our corporate brand, and we were going to work with businesses and schools and nonprofits and whatever we could find that wasn't couples. Well, I'm filming this wedding, and at dinner, we got a fancy little dinner at the vendor table, and the photographer's husband was assisting the photographer. His name was Steve. And Steve says to me, he's like, man, I've been watching you all day. And I'm like, that's creepy. I'm funny too, so it's okay to laugh. It's good. So he says, I've been watching you. And back then I had like a Steadicam rig. So it was like this whole thing, this big metal arm. I put my heavy camera on it, and I could run around, and the shots were smooth. Like that, literally, your iPhone can do that today. You can be running like this, and there's a mode where it will smooth it out. Anyway, he's like, I've been watching what you do. Like, it's really, really cool. Would you come to my work and like meet with my team and just like talk about like how you're doing this work? Because I think we have a lot to learn. And I'm like, oh, give me a stage, like talk to some people, and you have some kind of a business, and I'm thinking about transitioning into doing work with businesses. I'm like, yes, sign me up. Like, where do you work at? And he says, oh, I'm the brand manager at the University of Michigan Ross School of Business. And then I don't know if he heard me gulp, but if you don't know anything about the Ross School of Business, it's like literally in the top 10 business schools in the entire world. I know I'm in the state of Ohio right now, so I'm treading lightly. I didn't go to school there. Okay, yeah, neither be one. So all I'm thinking is I didn't get a business degree. I don't know anything about business. I don't know anything about KPIs or ROIs or any of that stuff. I'm a wedding filmmaker guy. I can light stuff. I can make stuff look cinematic. I can create emotion. But I'm like, I'm going to be in a room with like business people and whatever. But I say, yes, let's do this. Well, in the meantime, we get an RFQ, which I didn't know what one of those was. I'm like, what's an RFQ? From the University of Michigan, because Steve was like, well, hey, since you're going to come do this presentation, why don't you bid on this job? And I'm like reading this like multiple page thing. I'm like, this is like overwhelming. I don't know what to price this thing. Anyway, as I'm going through this, I'm like, okay, here's a good opportunity. And I tell my team, we're going to make a presentation at the University of Michigan, and we should probably make a video to show them. So let's go to the Ross School of Business. Let's go to the University of Michigan and just like film some stuff, some of the buildings, and then we can talk about what an honor it would be to partner with them. So like, let's just be totally honest and say like, this would be really cool. Like the legacy that you guys are leaving, the impact that you're having. And I said, let's do that. So we got all this beautiful footage. We started putting this thing together. And then I said, let's add some personality to it. And the team's like, okay. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, this is either going to make people like us, or it's going to make them think like, thanks for coming, there's the door. So you'll see at the end of the video, it's old. We zoomed in way too much on our faces, so that part's a little embarrassing. But pay attention to what's said at the very end of this video, and you can laugh at me, it's fine. Here we go.
We love stories like this. The University of Michigan's Ross School of Business is a training ground for incredible leaders. And to tell the story of what these people are doing to impact the world would be a great opportunity.
My name is John Azzoni. I'm the creative director for TEL. We're going to approach this project differently than I think a lot of other companies would. We're artists. We're not just people that can push a button on a camera. So the end result is going to be more than just a video. It's going to literally be a piece of art. And it's going to be told in a way that's inspiring and powerful and ultimately persuasive enough to help somebody make a sound decision about where to attend business school.
Last year, our team was named one of the top 25 most influential studios in the world by a group of our peers. Because of that, we have access to a wide variety of resources and filmmakers, not just locally or regionally, but also globally. The Executive Education Leadership Program at the Stephen M. Ross School of Business is one of the best ways in the world for leaders in business and industry to advance their careers, and to be part of something like that is just such a fantastic opportunity for us and our team.
Everything that we do is about the story. Our hope with this film is that it would inspire and inform people about a major decision for their career. And ultimately, we didn't have much more to present, so we thought we'd make a video, and here we are. This is awkward now, shut it off. Okay, I guess that'll be good enough.
There's always Monday morning.
There's always Monday morning.
Okay, so the lights are off, the video plays, and I'm just like looking at the eyes and like waiting for any sort of expression. The lights come on, and Steve, the brand manager, says, if you can do for us what you did for you, this is a match made in heaven. We won the job. We've worked with the University of Michigan for a whole bunch of years, made hundreds of thousands of dollars with them, and I did not feel like I had to be somebody else. Every meeting that we had, I could show up. I didn't have to show up in a suit and tie. I felt like I could, well, okay, this is a little awkward. I do have a tie on, but I didn't have to hide. They knew I was a goofball from the very beginning. So there was a lot of freedom that came in just saying, let's just show up how we are. We're either going to win or we're going to lose, but it's going to be okay. All right, who knows? Well, the screen just gave it away. Who knows what this is? Tripod. Okay, so tripod has a job, and in the world of video marketing, I think there are 3 ways that businesses can use video. Leg 1 is raw and real. And this is where the majority of what a lot of us have heard the last 2 days. This is showing up. This is using your phone. What's in your pocket? This is, hey, what's up, guys? Well, maybe not. Hey, what's up, guys? But like, getting ready with Ryan this morning. I made a really dumb video of me putting on my bow tie this morning. But it's just like real raw. Leg 2 is strategic. And a lot of the clients that hire us for more strategic videos, right? This is where we're going to have a softbox, like one of those big soft lights, and it's going to be a sit-down interview, and there's going to be some storytelling. There's going to be some music underneath it. It's going to feel like a mini film. And then leg 3 is flagship. And this is, a flagship piece is probably like a 10 or 20-minute documentary for a brand that's been around for a long time and has a legacy, and says, we really want to tell our full story, and so let's create something that is lasting. So many of us, and my hand is raised, as somebody who has created beautiful content for people almost since I started doing this kind of work, I've always felt like what we wanted to create was something that was beautiful, meaningful, emotive, and I got super mad. I got so mad in like 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, when you could start taking photos and video on the phone. Because then everybody started doing what we were doing, and it sucked compared to what we were doing. But people were happy. They were like, hey, we can do this. And I'm like, oh, but it's not good. It's not strategic. It's not beautiful storytelling. It's just like, hey, guys, like, I'm like, it's like day in the life. Who cares about that stuff? And I got really frustrated. And so there's a feeling that, hey, if I'm going to start showing up, I got to have the YouTube set up. I got to have those tube lights in the back, and I got to have the big softbox, and I got to spend $1,000 on a camera. And I know so many people that I coach that have all of the things, and they continue to buy more things, thinking that they're going to finally launch their YouTube channel or their video podcast, and they don't. You don't have to be Bradley Cooper. You don't have to be perfect. A lot of people confuse me for him, whatever, or him for whatever. It's not about the production value. It's about showing up. Our brain, I think there are 4 ways that raw, real content does something in our brain. I think the first thing it does is it creates trust. And if you've been around marketing for like any amount of time, what are the 3 things that people say, hey, create content so that people will know you, like you, and trust you? And like real raw content that isn't polished, that doesn't feel scripted, that doesn't seem like you set this up in a studio is the thing that's going to build trust, create trust. And it's like polished feels like an ad, right? Real, like that's where it's at. Recognition. If you can create a piece of content that allows somebody to see themselves in your videos, that's what you want. I don't want the CEO of McDonald's talking about, well, actually, that's not a great example, but I don't want the CEO of Delta showing up how he does on my little screen when I fly Delta all the time. I'm like, I would never, like, if this is how this guy really is, like, I don't relate to you, right? But, you know, just content that you guys are sharing over the last couple of days, I'm like, these are my people. Like, there's nothing feels like forced or overproduced. Permission. When you create raw, real content, it invites your audience to feel like they can let their hair down too. And then memorability is a hard word for me. Real raw moments, you can't create those, and those typically are way more memorable than moments that are canned or set up. Who's seen the Blair Witch Project? I'm just going to say you're welcome. I had a couple of gifts that were going to show you what the Blair Witch Project looked like. So the Blair Witch Project, budget for this film was $35,000. It was 3 college students. They used like home movie cameras. Literally, the shots are like, you know, this. The lighting is like flashlights. It's like the lowest production. I mean, $35,000 to create like a 90-minute film or whatever it is, that's like nothing. It's like literally nothing. That film went on to make $250 million, and the production was terrible. But that's not the point. The point was that it felt so real. I mean, they did such a good job of making you feel like you were right there. Cloverfield. Anybody see Cloverfield? Cloverfield. Budget for that film was $25 million. And the whole thing there was they used like real Hollywood cameras. But their goal was like, how can we make this look and feel kind of like the Blair Witch Project did? Make it look like found footage from phones or video cameras, like no production. They spent all of this money to do what we do on a daily basis. So Hollywood knows something about what real, raw content can do here. And for those of you who have invested in gear or thought about investing in gear, spending thousands of dollars, just remember that Hollywood spends millions of dollars trying to look like you. I hate this story. When I started filming weddings, I needed help really early on. My buddy Sean worked, we're from the Detroit area, a ton of automotive companies. He worked for an auto supplier, desk job, worked cubicle, kind of hated his life, married, had kids, amazing human being, and I knew he was a little bit creative. And I said, Sean, I need help. Would you like to shoot a wedding with me? He's like, dude, yes, let's go. I could make some extra money. This would be great. So we started filming together, and then eventually I was like, hey, let me teach you how to edit these videos. And then he started editing our videos. So he became like my favorite contracted person. And he got pretty good. And then eventually our storytelling got a little bit more advanced, and then we got out of weddings, and so we really stopped using him. Well, a bunch of years went by, and he saw a video on YouTube of a guy cutting a lawn, and he was like, I could do that. So he found an abandoned property. He went and just totally cleaned this thing up. He had his iPhone, filmed the whole thing, and he puts it on YouTube. And for him, he was like, I know this guy's making money, the guy that he saw on YouTube. And he's like, we're sending our daughter to this private school. We're going to send our other. I could use a little bit more money. Ryan's not hiring me to do this stuff, so I'm just going to make something happen. So he shoots this video, and it gets a lot of views. And he's like, I'm going to do this again. So he shoots another video, finds another property, posts it. It gets a lot more views. And then he starts doing this on a weekly basis. And he starts going up to doors in Detroit and in Pontiac and knocking on doors and saying, hey, I'm here. I could, cut your grass for free. Is that fine? And everybody's like, oh my God. People are crying. It's like this whole thing. 4 years ago, I think it was, he left his, this is the part I'm so mad about. He left his corporate job to do YouTube full time. The brand deals that he gets, the monetization, I mean, he is doing really, really well. And he's doing very meaningful work. It's beautiful. The stories, the ways that he's impacting people's lives in and around Detroit, it is amazing. I'm super jealous, okay? I'm like, but here's the thing. His production, he's using an iPhone. How annoying is that, Ryan? Oh, it's super annoying because I've invested in a lot of gear and we do, these epic productions and I'm like, I don't make as much money as him. What the heck did I do wrong? So the point is, it was never the camera. It's never been the camera. So whatever excuse, and I'm going to point the finger here, because as the producer, as the filmmaker, for so long, I've been on this side of the camera telling your stories. And over the last couple of years, I've really warmed up to this idea of like, man, like I've got more that I want to share. I think more that I want to inspire. And instead of feeling like the pieces of content that I need to create need to be super produced, like it takes a lot more time and more money to create super produced content. And I realized that the frustration that I had in 2010, 11, 12, as people are creating this content, I realized I'm like, that's all leg one content that people have been doing, building trust with their audiences, growing their audiences, making a huge impact. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I would have just gotten out of the way and realized that real, raw content would be such a great way to open a door and start a relationship and getting people to either really like me for my goofiness or to get them to say like, not for me, guy. I don't even know what he's selling, but I just can't stand his personality, and that would be fine. So I have 5 videos. My challenge is not for you to shoot all of these this week, but to think like, could I do one of these videos? Could I create one of these videos? The first one, day in the life. The boring stuff is the interesting stuff. Now, I know you probably all want me to post this video of me putting, I set it up in the bathroom like all the ladies do. I'm like, all right, just gonna get this is my morning routine with Ryan. Here's my, yeah, okay. So, but something like that is crazy. I walk my daughter to school. She lives right across, and I would post these videos throughout the winter. I'm getting pelted with snow. I've gotten more comments from friends and strangers. Dude, I love watching your little videos of you walking your daughter to school. Who would have thought? Now, here's the crazy thing. I protected my audience, my clients. If anybody was a friend with me on Instagram or Facebook, I didn't post or talk about my business. As I've been showing up on these platforms and just showing the human side of me, it becomes really easy to say like, oh, and by the way, I'm like headed to the studio today for a shoot. We're working with this client. It's just all natural because I'm sharing all the things, right? We messed up. This is a great video. If you did something, I'm about to hit episode 500 on my podcast. And the reason why I've had so many episodes is because I've made a lot of mistakes, and I talk about the mistakes, and it's actually helpful. People don't feel like they're alone. So when you invite people into your world and just show up and apologize and say, man, I totally screwed this thing up, and here's what I'm learning, and I'm sorry. Process, the making of, is the thing that people remember. Watching you do your work is very interesting. If you ever watch behind the scenes, like one of my favorites is watching The Office, and the dinner party scene. I mean, who's seen the dinner party scene? The outtakes are just like amazing. But when you can see the process or behind the scenes, like you just feel like, oh, these are real people. This is relatable. The quick thought, 60 seconds in your car. This is also something else. I'm a very annoyed person, but my most popular video on my Instagram is me. I went to the grocery store. I contemplated telling this lady, this really old woman, that her hair was great. I decided I would do it. She like lit up. It was amazing. I went to my car and I'm like, I'm just going to tell this story. I tell this story. It's like a minute and a half. It has like thousands and thousands of views. And I'm like, what is this? This is not, I want people to be like, Ryan, share your epic video that you did for such and such client. We want to hire you. I don't think that's how it works anymore. And then finally, the customer moments. Having people talk about how you've helped them. Super smart. And then you're not selling yourself. You're getting your people to sell for you. Right, Cliff? All right, and then here, so I've got this checklist. You can take a shot of this. I'm going to share a QR code in a minute where you can download this stuff. This is the good enough checklist. Sound beats picture. If you can focus on having a little bit better audio than your picture, you're winning. Face a window. Get some natural light, soft. It's going to make you look more flattering. Prop your phone on a coffee mug or a kitchen sink. Did that this morning. Keep it short, and then post it before you hate it. This is the one that I know you've got so many videos that you've shot, and then you threw them away because you're like, this is embarrassing. So the one of me, I'm going to post the bow tie one, but I did think, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. I will. I promise. Okay, so remember Mrs. Weller? 2013, I sent that Facebook message. 2016, she actually did message me back. It was this long, just like, oh my gosh, Ryan, this is, of course I remember you, and just went into this whole thing about, as a teacher, this was like her work, and she felt called to do the work that she did, and to hear from a student, and to hear how she had such an impact on one student's life she said, I read her message again this morning. She said, I made her day, her week, her month, her year, and probably more, is what she said. Last year, my best friend Jay was talking about his boss. And he's like, yes, Scott Weller, blah, blah, blah. And I've heard him talk about Scott for a long time. But there was something inside of me that said, like, wait a second, you said Scott Weller. I'm like, was his mom, was she a teacher? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, did she teach elementary school? And he said, yeah. I'm like in Oxford maybe? And he's like, probably. They live in Rochester, which is really close to Oxford. And I'm like, dude, can you somehow connect me to Mrs. Weller? Because I'm pretty sure this is my elementary school teacher. Let's see. 2 Saturdays ago? 2 Saturdays ago, I got to have coffee and donuts with Mrs. Weller. It was amazing. I mean, I got to, again, gush about the impact, the words that she spoke, how she showed up for me, how she lived out her mission as a teacher to speak life into first grade kids. Who would think like, yeah, the teacher's there just to make sure that they stay out of trouble and whatever. This lady changed my life. And I got to tell her, and I got to hang out with her and her husband, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. We've texted back and forth multiple times. She probably said when we were together, she probably said, oh, Ryan. She probably said that like 30 times. Like it was so, so precious. As you think about your story and your mission and why you do the work that you do and who you're here to serve, man, there's an opportunity for you to really make a difference in somebody else's life. And the longer you hold back and say, I'm going to wait until I can do maybe a leg 2, like a really nice brand video or something like that, then I'll be good, or when I get the better camera or the better lights. But I'm telling you, if you start showing up now, the amount of people that you can help right now will change everything. I'm going to share this really quick. This is my QR code. You can download that, the checklist, and there's some other resources that I'm going to send your way. I'm launching a cohort in a few weeks, and if you are interested in being able to figure out how you can have more confidence and show up on camera and tell your story and start getting the reps in, I'll send you more information about that once you sign up to my email newsletter. You'll also be able to read the story about Mrs. Weller. It's such an amazing opportunity that I got to be with her. My challenge, my charge to you is to go be the realest thing in someone's feed this week. Go and be Mrs. Weller to somebody else. Thank you.
Ryan Koral.